Hello everyone, welcome to Science and Tech series with Dr. Vivek Rana. So today topic for discussion is Science and Tech section from UPSC Prelims 2023. So we'll be decoding all 12 questions which were asked in this section and we will give you possible explanations as well. So let's start without wasting any time. So first question was from space segment. It was quite an easy one. It says which one of the following countries has its own satellite navigation system. So basically they are asking you about which country has indigenized the technology of navigation. So they had four options: Australia, Canada, Israel and Japan. So this one was a straightforward question because we all know just like USA has GPS, Russia has GLONASS, India has also built its NAVIC or IRNSS, China has Baidu, whereas European Union has Galileo and Japan is also has developed its own navigation system Quasi-Zenit. So this was dictated in class, so hopefully all of you who have attempted this paper must have got it right. So answer is D. Now there was another question from defense section. So it was a bit conceptual, but if you have attended the lectures once again, you could have managed it easily. So it says there are two statements. The first statement is ballistic missiles are jet propellant at subsonic speeds, while the cruise missiles are rocket powered only in the initial phase of flight. Now you have to understand ballistic missiles like Agni, Prithvi, they are the rocket fueled, whereas the cruise are the one which are jet propulsion based, as they have to elevate their speeds from subsonic to eventually supersonic. So the first statement is wrong. The second statement says Agni 5 is medium range supersonic cruise missile. So this is a total blunder because we know Agni 5 is a long range, or you could say the idle words are intermediate, or Agni 5 is even the intercontinental category because it can clearly move past the 5,000 kilometer benchmark, and it was the first missile through which India claimed ICBM status. And also, while they have highlighted BrahMos is a solid fuel intercontinental ballistic missile, once again it's wrong. BrahMos, which is developed by India and Russia, is an example of cruise missile, and currently we are working on BrahMos 2, which is going to be hypersonic cruise missile. So basically these are some basic nitty-gritties of defense. If you have attended the defense lecture, this question was once again manageable. So answer is neither one nor two, D option. Then a green hydrogen mission was in news all through the year. So we have seen there are two questions on green hydrogen, and more or less they have glorified the theme. They have asked about what is going to be, why this mission is going to be significant for India. So they have asked with reference to green hydrogen, consider the following statement. The first statement says that it can be used directly as a fuel for combustion, which is a correct statement. Then the second state, it can be blended with natural gas and used as a fuel for heat or power generation. Once again, we have seen that just like in gasoline or petroleum fuels, blending has been the key word. We are blending with biofuels. So in similar way, in green hydrogen, there is a scope of mixing CNG, and it will be carried out once the mission rolled out in its full potential. And then the third is it can be used as hydrogen fuel cell. So any green hydrogen is nothing but electrolysis of water carried out with the help of renewable energy instead of, you could say, the conventional fuel. So it can be used in the fuel cell as well. So once again the answer was C option, all three are correct. Then the fourth question is from emerging technologies. We have seen that the aquaponics theme and hydroponics were at times in biotech emerging themes, which even though this year were not too much in news, still you could have applied and taken some risk in this section. So they have asked about what is the significance of biofilters, which are the living organisms which try to manage this particular system. So they have said that biofilters provide waste treatment by removing uneaten fish feed. So these living organisms do feed on the leftovers as well as on the uneaten raw materials because they act as more or less scavengers or decomposers. So it can be considered. The second one is correct. It says that converts ammonia present in fish into nitrate. So this is their main role. They are help in reducing the nitrate content, and it's more or less like a nitrogen cycle operating. They convert the more toxic into less toxic, and eventually the fish takes up, these plants take up it as a, you could say, the main macronutrient which is required for their growth, because we all know plants in aquaculture thrive on the nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. So third also option also, it says that it increases phosphorus as a nutrient for fish, even though the biofilters decrease the phosphate by filtering out, but eventually they make it available for the living organisms like the plants, so that they can grow to their optimum potential. So once again, in science and tech, generally most of the times the answers are all of the above. So this question is once again not an exception. So once again we have to choose the C option, all three. Apart from that, the fifth question we can say is from nanotechnology domain. We have covered carbon nanotubes, or you could say in general science, the allotropy of the carbon, where they have mentioned about diamond, graphite, graphene, the evolution of Buckminster fluorines. So they have asked here about carbon fibers. So carbon fibers, they have said they are used to manufacture components used in automobile as well as aircraft, which is once again a correct observation. Currently the automobiles industry as well as other manufacturing industries more or less are using carbon fibers and their advanced versions, because these carbon fibers are at scale of micro category 10 raised per minus 6, and in broader more or less sense they are being used in multiple industries. So we have a detailed lecture on applications of carbon nanotube fibers. So this falls in domain of it. Currently the most advanced aircrafts are also using these carbon fibers, which are 4th and 5th generation. So first statement is correct. The second statement says the carbon fibers once used cannot be recycled. One of the main advantages of using organic materials like carbon are they are easily biodegradable, and well as they can be reused. There are 4 technical technologies which make use of the recycling procedures and make carbon fibers available for human applications. So once again, this is a emerging technology, and you could have applied or taken a bit of risk. So answer is once again first option, because the second statement is cannot be correct, because they have said it cannot be. So we have to eliminate that option. Then another emerging technology was asked, which was not covered in our class lectures, or you could say in current affairs, the accelerometer applications. We have seen, even though this technology is there in our everyday life, while using mobile phones or using the vehicles, the vibration mode more or less depends on these sensors of which are called accelerometers. So first option says detection of car crash, through which the airbags eventually come out. So in that case also, this is a sensitive tool which gets activated and saves life. So first option is correct. The second says that detection of accidental free fall of the laptop. Once again we say that it saves the hard drive section. So once this is also a correct observation. And the third one, that which we are using in our mobile phones every day, to tilt, we see the landscape mode being activated. Once again it relies on the movement of your hand and vibrations. So there also this accelerometer comes into play. So in case you have heard about this technology, then it was worth risk taking. In case you were not too sure about it, this question could have been unattempted as well, if you are confused whether this technology is being used. So otherwise the answer is once again on the golden parameter, that UPSC celebrates the technology and tries to see whether you are able to decode or link the given technology to multiple applications. So answer is C option, all three. And coming to Anemia Mukt Bharat mission, this is one of the schemes which are been in news all throughout the year once again. So the first statement says that it provides prophylactic calcium supplementation. Now this is just a test of basic bio. In anemia, we know the most common reason is the iron deficiency. The calcium one is a separate theme in which we cover, and we have seen that the weakening of bones as well as the teeth is associated. So calcium has nothing to do with, mainly they are supplying iron and vitamin B12 supplement, because B12 is associated with pernicious anemia, folic acid is with the megaloblastic, and the iron deficiency is the most common form which we are trying to address, because India has almost 50% population being anemic. So first option you have to eliminate. Other ones are more or less acceptable. They run a campaign to delay cord clamping at the time of childbirth, which is once again a feature. The third one is that deworming, because we have covered this as well, that deworming drive is on. We give the tablets as well, because these parasites, when they enter intestine, they tend to grow at the cost of the human being. So dewormation drive is also part of this broader mission. And finally, that it addresses nutritional deficiency of anemia in pockets where malaria, hemoglobinopathiemia, fluorosis are there, because these all are also associated with the destruction of red blood cells. This is also a feature. Even though it's a quite difficult question to attempt, but if you could eliminate that calcium option, it was manageable. Or even in case you were not able to eliminate, but you find risk in some other option, then also the best probable option becomes only 3, the C option. So these were some of the questions which were from science and tech domain, from the conventional sources of defense, space, emerging technologies. Then biotech has also its own importance in UPSC, and this year the 2 questions were there once again from biotech section, and more or less they were testing the were directly or indirectly linked to the Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology, which was won by Swedish Pablo, because he had discovered the Neanderthal man, or you could say hominids evolution through genomics only, and concepts like how we are decoding the comparing different species or their evolution, and that point of time the microsatellite DNA comes into the picture. So they have asked microsatellite DNA is used in which of the following cases. So the first option says studying the evolutionary relationship between various species of fauna. Fauna are animals, so basically this was question which was derived from evolution of animals, because lot of researches keep on coming in newspaper that how animals or tigers or you could say human beings have evolved from apart from that fossil records. So the answer is A option. So you don't have to look to the other option which were like on related to stem cell cloning, even though they all are biotech themed. So in case you have not heard about microsatellite DNA or evolution linkage or missed the Nobel Prize discovery, you might have been confused. So if you have made a mistake, it's an acceptable one. And then there is another question on aerial metagenomics. Even though this term was not too much in use and the aerial word is not too specific related to the topic, but the key word is the genomics. Genomics is the branch which studies the genetic sequence and is mainly related to the DNA, decoding DNA sequences, even though euthanics aim to improve the human race by studying these sequences, eliminating the genetic disorders. So this is basically a method through which you are collecting the samples, random samples of DNA from the, you could say, the aerial environment, if we can decipher it. So the closest option which comes once again is the A option, collecting DNA samples from the habitat at one go, because other options are not directly related to the DNA segment. They have used the drone technology, or you have the airborne devices to collect blood samples, which are just you could say hypothetical exaggerations of the examination. And even though the B option was a bit close, that understanding genetic makeup of avian species, because genetic word is there and aves refers to the birds. So this was the second best option, which a lot of students might have got confused in attempting while attempting this question. So the correct answer is A option only. And then there is hardly a UPSC paper where diseases are not asked. This time it was quite an indirect question, because we have seen this year the dengue cases being reported all over India, and there was massive jump up after the COVID phase. And in dengue we know it's a viral disease, but the main vector is the Aedes aegypti mosquito, and which is popularly known as tiger mosquito. So there are various strategies to control this, either Aedes aegypti mosquito, or you try to locate, which is a virus which is an unending quest. So lot of unconventional methods at times are in use, and one of those methods was Wolbachia method, because it's a name of a bacteria which at times grows inside multiple, you could say, organisms like protozoa, and as well as in small bacteria, and as well it also enters the mosquito as well. So this method is a test method under research which is being tried to control the population of, you could say, mosquito, especially Aedes aegypti. So this was once again not too obvious question. So if you have not attempted, that was a better approach. But if you have heard something, or you have taken that risk of dengue, or you could say you were confused even with malaria, then this method could have been you could have attempted this question. Otherwise, it is a tough question. There is no doubt it was not covered in class lectures or even in current affairs class. Now, apart from that, there were few questions from a general science section as well. So let's take them as well. So there was a question on nuclear energy, which once again we had covered in our class. The first statement, even though may not appear technically correct, but you have to choose this one. It says that India, despite having uranium deposits, depends on coal for most of its electricity production, because still we are talking about the transition to renewable energies. More or less, our 50% requirements are still served from the, you could say, coal plants, and India has uranium reserves in multiple states like Rajasthan, Andhra, and we have mentioned that even the districts as well, like the Chittoor, or you could say the Chittorgarh in Rajasthan, as well as in northeast India. And but the main reserves are of thorium deposits in the monazite sand. The first statement, even though may not be one of the best options to correct, but the given combination of options, we have to choose this one. The second one says that uranium enriched to extent of 60% is required for production of electricity. So this we had covered that there are three categories of enriched uranium: low, high, and highly enriched. And the low enriched uranium is what is required for clean production of energy production. So if you enrich uranium isotope of 235 from 238 to up to 5%, that's more than enough to generate clean energy. Once you enter in double digits, then IAEA gets suspicious of your enrichment program and alerts the global community, as was in case of Iran's nuclear program at Natanz and Fordo. And once you enrich 90%, then it's a clear case of, you could say, the weapon angle and the nuclear peace program, which is contrary to the NPT guidelines. So the second option has to be eliminated, and the only option which satisfied this answer is the C option. So you have to put that statement first is correct and statement 2 is incorrect. Then there is a question on mushrooms. You could say that ecological significance or your commercial significance of mushroom is being asked, because mushrooms are part of fungi kingdom, and we have seen that they are intermediate between plant and animals. They find use in multiple of application in everyday life. Last year also there was a question on morel mushroom or gucci, which is considered the costliest mushroom. So medicinal properties, and we link to mushroom, they have already. We have seen that how fungi, even the world's first antibiotic, penicillium, was a fungi only which was used as a antibiotic against staphylococcus bacteria. The first option is correct. Then it says they have psychoactive properties like LSD, and there are other species which have similar properties like LSD, and they have a few specific fungi which almost provide these highs. So this is once again correct option. The third they have insecticidal properties. We have seen in lot of ecological interaction, mushroom when associated with some living organism not only absorbs water and minerals, but also acts against pathogenic fungi and other, you could say, pests, because of some you could say the hormones or pheromones released. And then we have mushrooms having bioluminescence. This one is a tricky one. Just like firefly has luciferin, some fungi are associated with this bioluminescence part, which is glowing by living organism. So answer is once again D option, all of the above. And then we have another question on, you could say, microorganisms, more or less on prokaryotes. They have asked that some microorganisms can grow in environment and temperature above the boiling point. So this one is a subjective option, because when we boil water, most of the microorganisms get killed. This is the most basic method which was developed to kill bacteria. Most of the common bacteria which you will see, they can just withstand temperature up to 70 degrees. Only rare ones survive up to 80 degrees. But then there is a class of bacteria which are called you could say hyperthermophiles, which can grow at extreme condition even above 100 degrees Celsius. So if we take that exception into account, then this option can be considered. If you take the basic general study point of view, so you might have erred in while attempting this question. So we have to wait for the final answer ki if we see UPSC take the generalist approach or was interested in knowing the archaebacteria or the exceptional hyperthermophile bacteria which survive at times at 100 degree, because that term becomes open-ended. Above boiling point could be 105 as well, even 200 as well, or so this question can have a mixed answer. Even though the second option is most time correct, it says that some microorganisms can grow in environment with temperature below freezing point. So we have that cryo adaptations of microorganisms coming into play, and we have seen already samples being decoded. So this one was more or less still you could have considered. And the third one is that they can grow in highly acidic environment, the acidophile they are asking about. So a lot of bacteria survive in this ecosystem as well. So answer is you could say can be either B or C. Most likely UPSC, since this question is more or less tilted on the exceptional adaptations of bacteria, will likely to pick C option, as once again as the trend goes is going to be the C option. But still, if there will be no surprise if they give the answer as B option as well. And apart from that, the final question was once again on the green hydrogen technology initiative. Once again, it was an easy one to attempt. Probably I have missed it somewhere. So answer of that question was also all of the above only. There is another couple of questions which are associated with science and tech. You can say that they have asked that 3/4 of Earth's cobalt, a metal required for manufacture of batteries, is produced by. So while decoding the difficulties or challenges in adopting e-vehicle technology, we have clearly highlighted that China has competitive edge because it has secured mines in Congo as well as Australia, because even though we have mastered the technology of lithium ion battery, but the critical components of securing this metal are still under process, and a lot of countries have missed the opportunity when the time was right to have such contract. So Congo has distinction of having almost 60% of the world's, we could say, cobalt as well as lithium reserves. So answer is C option. And they have also asked about a technical question on ilmenite and rutile abundantly available in coastal tracts of India. What are the sources, which is the likely source of these ores? So aluminium, copper, iron and titanium are the options. So this question could have been attempted only by elimination method, because it's not possible for every general study student to mug up all the ores or the resource part specifically. In aluminium we know it is the bauxite ore which is mainly associated. In copper we have cuprite or copper sulfide as the pyrite ore, which are the predominant one. In iron we all know there is hematite, magnetite, limonite, siderite, and then it leaves only with titanium with this technical name. So this was once again a 50-50 probability question. Only the students who have, you could say, the non-medical background, who have mugged up these ores or you could say the specific resources, would have been in better position to attempt this. So this was it from science and tech section. Apart from that, the final question was of once again green hydrogen. They have asked that consider the heavy industries, fertilizer, oil, steel, and green hydrogen is likely to play a significant role in decarbonizing. So one of the main advantages or the push behind Green India mission is to decarbonize heavy industries. Already there is a global alliance, as well as in recent COP27 at Sharm el Sheikh. There have been concrete steps in this direction to decarbonize heavy sectors, because these core sectors are the ones which are responsible for the CO2 pollution. So answer once again is all of the above. If you have any specific doubts which you feel have not been addressed in this section, you can ask them in comment section. I will like to take the genuine queries. So more or less, if out of these 12 questions you have managed to do almost 7 or 6 questions, which can be considered a satisfactory attempt, and if you with the possible 1 or 2 mistakes, that's a fair chance, because we have seen the cutoff being hovering around just 88, 87 in last couple of years. This year also the trend is likely to be the same. So if you have attempted all those sections with almost more than 50% accuracy or close to 50%, you should prepare for mains, because this is what UPSC tests and some questions are intentionally framed unattemptable. So you will have your highs and lows in different sections. So we will try to come up with environment section as well. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.